Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Todd Green. I am the Executive Director of the Atlanta University Center Consortium, a member of the International Economic Development Council, and I'm very proudly the chair of this year's host committee of our annual conference in Atlanta, which will begin September the 30th and run through October 30th. And we've selected an exciting theme that, of course, meets many of the interest of your expertise, and that is inclusive economic development. And it's about fulfilling our dreams. I am very honored that you have chosen to be a part of the conference in your speaker role. I thank you for that. And I just wanted to provide a little bit of context about why we came up with that theme and how your panel or presentation will come into that. But when we mean inclusive economic development, we certainly mean things that include not only in terms of thinking about suburban communities as well as urban and rural communities, but we mean inclusivity in every way. That is, what types of approaches with economic development might we think about, whether it's technology based or ones that emanate in universities versus some of the traditional economic development approaches. We also mean small business and entrepreneurship from a topical standpoint. We mean young and old. We mean new and modern and maybe historic ways of thinking about it. So, with that in mind, we also recognize that we wanted this to be a very interesting conference, one that would be provocative, that people will be able to walk away and really learn something new that they might either be able to take back and apply to their community or either adapt for future use. So with that, I'm going to end my welcome and just once again, thank you for agreeing to participate in what I know is going to be one of the most fabulous conferences that IEDC has ever had. And that's all because of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd, our host committee chair, who has been working amazingly with the team down in Atlanta to give us the best ever conference that IED has seen. I'm Claudia Belania-Tanga, and I have my boss, the Vice President of Knowledge Management, Lynn Knight, on the call.
Hi, everybody.
We are going to be going over today. We decided to do this webinar just based off of some survey feedback that we have reviewed over the past 2 years. And I know a number of you all are new attendees and members of IEDC, so we just want to give some tips that can enhance our participant feedback and survey results. And so we'll get started. So today what we're going to cover really briefly, Todd jumped into it a little bit, which is great, are our conference themes and tracks, ways to engage your audience, innovative session formats and tools, and how to attract your audience to the conference. So as Todd stated, the program tracks that the Atlanta Host Committee has identified are, first off, like he said, the theme is inclusive economic development, and we're really encouraging our presenters this year to integrate and implement these 5 tracks. Well, all of you all have a track that your session is located under. And if you don't know and if you're unclear, make sure you go to the website, and it's very specific. You can go under program and then search by track, and you'll be able to see where your session is located under. But they are reimagining economic development, widening the circle, growing from within, placemaking, pioneering new opportunities. So again, make sure you go to the website, or if you have questions about what that means, just give me a call, and we'd like to see more integration of the tracks into our programming this year. So thank you all. Lynn, do you have anything? Okay. All righty. So with, as I stated earlier, we were reviewing some of the data from previous years, and we wanted to share some of that with our speakers. You know, we can't do our conference without you all. It is what it is because of your gracious time, and you all are doing this pro bono, so IEDC could not exist without our speakers, so thank you. So what our participants really think about the sessions. When you look at the data on a scale from 1 to 5, our sessions, concurrent sessions, rank about a 3. So we're looking to improve those scores to possibly for annual move that up and push the needle to get to a 4. So what are some of the good things people are saying? That as you read on the slide, that our speakers are very inspiring. People like when the presenters tailor their presentations, and they love being having the sessions more interactive and engaging from the beginning. So one question that I've received quite a few times is, what is the audience of the IEDC members? And this is specifically if you're a new member to IEDC or a new presenter. We have an extremely educated population. We have 5,000 members, and the majority of them have a bachelor's degree or above. These are CEOs and directors of economic development organizations across the world. They are in management levels, and they are majority male or female, and they are all over the United States. Lynn, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I would just say, you know, for the annual conference, more than any of our conferences that we have during the year, this is where you're going to have an audience that has the widest range of experience or non-experience. So we have beginners. This might be their first conference, their first time to be exposed to, you know, colleagues in the field, as well as very experienced people. As we just talked about, Claudia mentioned that we have economic development. At this particular conference, we may have visitors from, you know, as many as 18 countries that are members of IEDC. So, you know, you might take a look in the audience and know that it's not just purely the U.S., it's not purely Canada, it could be from some other countries. The other thing is, you know, economic developers come from a lot of different types of organizations. So it may be an economic development organization that is just all they do. It could be at the state level, the regional level, the city level, rural organizations, county representatives. It's a pretty wide gamut in terms of size of community, from rural to urban. We also have people that are consultants sometimes, or economic development consultants, or they may represent a utility company. They may be doing economic development for a university. So it's a really diverse audience. You can guess, though, that people who are really interested in your subject matter, you know, may be the types of people that for their job. So wide audience.
And another thing, as we're going through some of the comments, again, these are the majority of the comments that we read is for the good pieces of our conferences. So let's go into maybe the not so good. So some of the bad and the ugly. Uninspiring were some key words that I noticed a lot in the data. The presentations were too small. There are a lot of data and charts, but they didn't really tell a story or relate back to the overall theme. And another thing that our participants kind of provide feedback on is that the presenters some of the presenters read right from the reports, or they just stand at the podium and not really engage the audience. So one of the formats that I noticed is kind of ranked lower is the session panelists, where 5 people or 4 people are sitting up there and everyone gives like a 15-minute presentation and then they hold questions to the end. I noticed those were the ones that are ranked the lowest. They are informative, but they're not really engaging the audience to the most of their ability, it looks like, from the data. So with that, how can we at IEDC, how can we improve that? So if you noticed on the meme, you know, everyone's really excited and geared up for the annual conference, and then by the last day, people are kind of pooped because there is an information overload. We're going through a lot of content. On average, you'll be attending, you know, 20 plus sessions, and how do you get that information and then take that back to your community and implement? So that's the biggest thing that the conference is supposed to do. You're supposed to network and essentially take back these tools to your community. So what are some of the things that you think of when you hear the word conference? Don't be shy, type in your responses. Okay, so a few of you say networking. Okay, I'm seeing networking, overwhelming, exciting, full of energy, good food. Oh, okay. Learning about products from vendors. The majority are saying networking. Okay, new ideas, best practices, happy hour. Okay, just kidding, it says. New ideas. Oh, interesting, not again. So and these are really great pieces of feedback, is that most of you all are coming for networking. So what does that mean? If you're a speaker and you're coming from networking, well, so are the participants. So how do we infuse more networking into these sessions? One thing that we are encouraging our speakers to do is to open up with a networking question and get your audience involved in the first 5 minutes. You know, put it back on them. Why are you all here? And I know a lot of you do this. So most of you all are MVPs, but there are new people. Just maybe defer your presentation for 5 minutes and just engage the audience. You know, why are you here? What are some issues and challenges you're having in your community? Maybe starting it out with a polling piece. So, okay, the remarks are still coming in for what do you think of for your conferences. Someone else said lots of booze. Okay, IEDC members. Okay, so like we said, how can we improve that? So in the programming department under knowledge management, we are tasked by our board, and everyone knows Jeff Finkel, our president, with implementing 5 new session formats for this annual conference. So we are that is what we've been tasked to, and it's not going to happen without our speakers and everyone putting their, thinking caps on and kind of us working together to make this the best conference yet. So what are some engaging session formats that we can try for this year? There's a number of them, and I'll follow this email up with, I know a few of you have asked about our No More Talking Heads campaign. And so I'll be sending out that email, which goes into detail on these 10 different formats that we're going to try to use, or use more, because some of you are using them. But we're going to, I have a goal, personal goal, that at least 50% of our sessions will engage one of these session formats. And there's different ones. Lynn, what are your favorite, when you go to conferences, what are your favorite session formats to use?
Well, I actually really like the campfire session where people are, sort of in a round table discussion. I think that's nice and informal. I think people enjoy that. I personally, when I speak, I like to walk around. I do not stand in front of a podium. And so I like to go out into the audience. If somebody's asking a question, I like to walk right up to them instead of standing like a whole room away. So I kind of enjoy the formats that are a little less formally set up.
Okay. And like I said, we will be following this email up with the session formats more detailed. And you can, when you speak with your panel mates, you all can, we challenge you to integrate something new into your sessions for this year. So another way that we are looking to, well, some of you have asked how many people we have registered for the annual conference. We are over 800. We're close to, I know hopefully Jeff will not hurt you, but we're close to, I want to say we're close to 900 at this point. So our goal is to have at least 1,100 people at the conference. So we're plugging away. And again, with our speakers, this conference wouldn't happen without you. So we are definitely hoping that we can work with you all to promote the conference. I will be following up with all of your speaker badges in the subsequent emails, so you can start using those on social media And there are ways that, because it does help when you all promote the conference and when you all promote your sessions, it builds momentum and excitement and energy. And people want to come because they've been engaged before the conferences even started. We're also leveraging our Whova app this year where you all can start polling the participants and asking questions. We have directions on how to use that into your sessions as well. So again, I'll be following up with your speaker kit, and all this information will be in there. And then we want to promote you all in our e-blast. We want to promote your sessions. We want to do it in the easiest way possible. So if you all have been following our marketing e-blast, you know, we do pick out sessions that are of interest and that different ones we want to highlight. So please send me reasons why people should come to your session. You know, have you written an article? Have you published a book? Have you been featured? Did you just get an award? Let us know and tell us that, because we can feature that in our e-blast. And that only makes our conferences, it adds more value to our conferences because you all are the experts and you all have the expertise, and that's why people are coming to the conferences. So again, pre-session polls and then integrating that on LinkedIn. I know I see a lot of you all are on LinkedIn and you all are heavy users. You know, post your speaker badge and then post a polling question. You know, what questions do you have for me for the session? And we're going to start tracking our engagement because it does matter to getting us to our goals. All righty. And then building energy during your session. I know that we just went over in the first couple of slides some of the feedback from participants. And as we saw, some of it said uninspiring and unmotivating, or just read from their PowerPoint slides. A couple of things that I read from their most successful sessions were that the speaker just stood in the front of the door and high-fived people as they came in, and some greeted people, and it kind of helps build the energy and gets people excited. Another thing that we read was sessions that ranked highest were ones that engaged and asked questions and then stopped during the presentation to say, hey, does anyone have any questions? Very effective ways to build energy. Throwing a ball to, you know, when I say throwing a ball, like kind of using that as a part of your Q&A, or whoever has the ball has control at the time. And then at the end, using the fishbowl model. That is a way where at the end of your presentation, you can kind of see and check the pulse and see what have people actually learned. And you can call one or two people up and they have 30 seconds to encapsulate and summarize what they learned and how they can take it back to their communities and implement. Lynn, any thoughts?
Building energy, I think also, you know, again, move around, I would say, smile, you know, when people smile, and look at all the people in your audience, you know, just try to be comfortable. I mean, you're very enthusiastic about your material, and that's why you're a speaker, and you convey that while you're speaking. You know, move your arms around a little bit. You know, again, it's just it's personal style, how you feel comfortable, but, you know, talk like you're talking to your family. Talk like you're talking to your friends. You know, be enthusiastic. You know, have the high energy.
Right. So moving into session formats. So PowerPoint. How many people like PowerPoints? Can you just say me in the comments, and we'll see how many people actually like PowerPoints. So I know you all are looking at these slides and kind of seeing what's wrong with these examples. They have a lot of text on them. Some of them you can't read. They're overlapping the pictures, the charts, just a lot of information on them. So what we're doing is just trying to reduce the amount of information on the slides and use more pictures to tell stories. So again, showing the ideas and not slides. If, you know, people are focusing more on the presentation and the PowerPoint. They're not really listening to you per se. So using more images to tell your story. So how can we fix these issues? Our brain processes visual 60,000 times faster than text. and they, you know, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So if you look at this image, the statistics are pretty interesting that 50% of your brain is actually processing visuals. 40% of people respond better to visuals. And again, there are different types of learners. So you're going to have textual learners and kinetic learners, and some people are more audio. So just incorporating more of that into your presentation will help the information that you're giving to stick better with our audiences. And again, the goal is one, networking, and then two, having implementable and actionable insights that people can take back to their communities.
I would say also use a lot of photos if you can. I mean, as economic developers, typically we're promoting places, we're promoting industries. You know, let's show the places. We hear this over and over that people want to learn about other examples from other places, and there's no better way than to show a picture. You know, if it's all words, there's no reference, it's just words.
Yeah, and another thing that I read quite a bit in the data from last year's conference, maybe the past 3 conferences, was that we have really great speakers, but sometimes the information is distributed in a way that may be a little bit not too elementary, but not as technical as the audience is looking to get. So we want to improve those scores. So just some food for thought and things to think about when everyone's putting their presentations together, making sure that we're using the technical IEDC jargon. And because again, a number of these people are looking to get their CXDs. So we want them to be able to reference the presentations in order to, you know, get their professional development as well, so that they can take these and then pass the exam, or, you know, for course material and such. So using the technical language is really important to our conferences.
I would add that is helpful. Not everybody is going for their certified economic developer credential. And actually, even at our conferences, I mean, you guys are doing groundbreaking work in many cases, and that's why you are a presenter. So, you know, you can feel free to introduce your own lingo. But you know, but we do have a system and practice that we teach, and when you emphasize some of those words, it is helpful for those people in the audience that are trying to learn it. But feel free to do your groundbreaking stuff too. And I know some of you out there, I'm looking at the pictures of who's presenting this year, and there's some, you know, some of you guys I know are real innovators in your field.
Great point, Lynn, on introducing new lingo. Absolutely. Some new terms, you know, we're always kind of using our set IEDC terms. So yes, please introduce new terms that can catch on in our industry, because most of you said you're coming to get new ideas and network with your peers and start trends. So definitely bring your groundbreaking ideas. So again, less can be more when it comes to the slides, telling a story, and most of you are working on some type of amazing project. So show that in visuals. More slides on just using visuals to tell the story.
Now these are some nice looking graphs, very creative.
And then it leaves time for discussion. So what are some innovative tools that we can try and implement for annual conference? I know some of you have used some of these tools. We've looked at the best. Our team, we have a great staff, and so we have looked at the best tools. And so I will send you all the conference presentation toolkit. I only put 4 on this slide just for the sake of brevity, but Haiku Deck is one that was ranked really high. It was ranked one of the top presentation tools for 2017, and this gives users access to over 25 pre-made templates, and they have an in-house graph maker. So it also you can use it with Dropbox and Facebook, and it provides users access to 35 million images. So, and they're all Getty images, so that's pretty impactful. Canva's another one that I find to be effective. I like that one. It's a presentation builder, and they have a number of graphics available. Another one is Project. This is a cool one as well. This platform aims to bring presentations to life, and you can actually upload a pre-existing presentation and then remix it with Project. It's really easy to use, and you can integrate live tweets. So if you've been following around or using your speaker badges, you can incorporate some of the comments you've got into this presentation. Another one is Slide Dog. This is great for live sharing. So if you're going to integrate polling or some other app into your presentation, this one's really, really rated high for audience engagement. And people can use it right in the audience through mobile devices and laptops. So if people are there, they can interact with you while you're doing your presentation. And if some of you right now want to just send us a message on some of your other favorite innovative tools that you use when giving presentations, that'd be awesome, because we'd love to build it into our speaker kit as well. All righty. So I know Lynn is one of our esteemed speakers, so I know she can talk to ways to engage your audience.
I don't often speak at conferences because we have so many fantastic speakers throughout our membership, but I do a lot of workshops and speak particularly when we're out in the field doing technical assistance projects. And I would say that, not feeling like you have to fill every second with a slide is something I would say speak less than the time allotted. I think is a very good point, because you want the audience to have plenty of time to ask you questions and go back and forth with you. Obviously start by telling the audience what they're going to take away from your talk, speak less than the time allotted. Use silence effectively. The first time I saw somebody do this, I just thought they were a fantastic speaker, where they talked a little bit slower and they paused every now and then. And that caused me and the audience to just hang on every word, because I was wondering, what's coming next. And they used that silence as a bit of emphasis at times. Emphasizing keywords. I would also add to that, practice inflection in your voice. I had to do this because I used to be a television reporter at one time early in my career, and then I did a lot of radio, and radio, all you have is your voice. So, do practice. I know brilliant speakers, brilliant people who are economic developers, but then they get up on the podium and they just talk in monotone. So, just try practicing and go up and down with your voice and give words emphasis. Numbers are a good thing. We oftentimes see during conferences that people are writing down numbers. They want to remember statistics. We all tend to love statistics in this field. Sometimes we see people taking pictures of slides. When you see people taking pictures of slides, you've got your audience. They're really, really interested in what you have to say. And a lot of times they're taking pictures of things that have numbers that they want to remember. Adding emotion or humor, of course, is always fun. And tell stories. We're there to tell each other stories about our work and share what's working in different places, and think about it, as stories. Saying people's names is always a good thing. Everybody's going to be wearing name tags. If you can get close enough to your audience, you'll be able to read their first names. You can ask them questions. You may see people out in the audience that have some examples of what you're talking about, and you can always call on them and say, hey, Mary Jane, what do you think about that? I know you're doing this in your community, and you can start a dialogue that way. So, quiz them, give them a question, as if you're, they're partners in your presentation. I think when you do that, then people tend to be a lot more engaged and feel like you're really paying attention to your audience.
So So great points, Lynn. And I know some of these things may seem small or like they may not matter as much, but we've literally read it in the data that these were some of the traits that made the best presentations at our conferences. So we definitely, you know, a lot of you already do this, but again, we have new members and new speakers. So we just want to emphasize some of these key points that make the best presentations. All righty. So with that, we do want to be mindful of everyone's time. Questions from our participants? And I'm sure you all definitely have a lot to do after annual conference, just like all of us. All righty. So a few of you all have asked a question. We have a great team over here helping. Will we be able to view this whole deck and audio after today? I need to leave for a meeting and would like to share with other staff that will be attending. Absolutely, we will make it available soon after this presentation. So another question is, how do people dress? Coat and tie for men or more casual? I'll let Lynn.
This is a business function, so typically we see people, dress for business. One of the things I personally like to do is wear something a little bit colorful, so that if somebody's looking for me, I can say, I'll be the one with the yellow jacket on. Or, if you can do something distinctive, excuse me, that's helpful, particularly if you're going to be meeting people and they don't know you and don't know what you look like. So be sure to, wear your best style. What looks good on you? What's flattering to you? But definitely it's business attire for most functions, and for the evening functions, of course, that's where people tend to dress a little bit more comfortably, so bring both.
Yeah. Okay, so can we request room setup in a different way? I love this question because most of our sessions, this is a great question because it's a capacity issue. Most of the rooms, when we try to set it up in a different way, we can only fit maybe 30 people, as opposed to when we do auditorium style classroom seating, we can maybe fit 100 in. So I definitely have been working with Lynn Guba, our meetings director, on this, and we are trying to accommodate special room requests. I'm afraid to say this, but please send conferences at IEDC online an email if you have, a certain type of setup. I can't promise that we will honor it, but we are trying to figure out which rooms will have specific setups. And you're going to get your room set up in our flow sheet. We have Ariana in here. I know you all, some of have received the correspondence from her. She's going to be following up with the flow sheets, and it'll have that information in there, your room setup and your AV. She works very diligently behind the scenes.
One of the things on setup is if you know well in advance that you want it set up a certain way, please do communicate early. One of the most difficult things, and sometimes it's completely impossible, is if somebody shows up on site right before the session, they say, hey, can we change this whole room around? Usually we can't. If it's that late, there may be audiovisual factors. There might be, some issue where you have to discuss with the hotel. So doing things on site at the last minute is probably too hard. The other thing I'll tell you, we do have to consider how the room is being used before you and after you. So again, as Claudia said, it's best to, give us your preferences in advance so that we can try to plan for that.
Oh, and another thing I wanted to jump on presentations. Some of you have asked, honestly, the conference will start September 30th. September 6th is the cutoff for receiving presentations because there's a lot of work that has to happen on the back end to get those loaded onto the computers. And from what I'm seeing, a majority come with, presentations on a flash drive with a whole bunch of changes. So it is easy easier to bring your presentation the day of and get it loaded on the computer. If you want to send it to me, I'm happy to receive it, but it has to be by September 6th, and so that our IT team can work to get that work done, because it is a lot of work on the back end. And we do make these presentations available to our participants after they fill out a survey, so they are definitely in demand. People want these presentations. So another question, will only speakers or just the moderator point person get this info? We do, now that I have the majority of the participants' emails, I'm sending out correspondence to everyone, but generally it does go through the moderator. But if I have your information, I will send it to you. And then can we have a larger room? They tend to have standing room only. How we're circumventing that issue is Len Guba and I sat down and we went through all the sessions and we kind of ranked them to see which ones we thought would have, certain amounts of participants. So we're trying to work on that to reduce the amount of standing room. Can we have, okay, I don't use PowerPoint. Can I count on Wi-Fi in the room to use Prezi? Yes, all of the rooms will have Wi-Fi available.
And it would be a good idea if you come a little bit early so you can try it out to make sure it's loaded up and it's working smoothly, just to be sure.
And Alyssa does not use Prezi. I didn't know that. Okay, good. So that is, hopefully this is a Prezi which you all are viewing today. So this is, we're trying not to use PowerPoint. I don't want to say that, but if we can try to maybe have 50% of us not using PowerPoint this year and introducing some new tools, that'd be great that people can take back to their communities. Another question, what is the name we find you under in the Whova app? That is a great question. It is I'll follow up with that. I think it's like IEDC conference, isn't it annual? All right, let me write that down, and then it'll be in your speaker packet. And someone just asked, when will this information go out on the speaker packet? Sometimes I think what's the word? The block in productivity is when you're trying to wait to get all of the information before you send correspondence. I try not to overload everyone with thousands of emails, so that's why sometimes correspondence is a lot at once. But I do have this stuff available, and I'll send it out right away between today and tomorrow. You'll get, what we talked about specifically in this presentation, because those are ready to go. And then your speaker badges will all be included in that. So it'll be the presentation toolkit, your speaker badges, and your, we talked about one more thing, this presentation format. Another question, I'm being mindful of time. We have a couple minutes left. Just going through these questions real quick. When will we know how many people will attend our session? That's why it's important to use the polling app. We're working with our marketing team, and we're going to be asking people ahead of time. We're launching our Whova app. Let me see, everything has to be in by the end of the month, so shortly after that, a few weeks before the conference. And go ahead.
I would just say we do not know exactly how many people are going to attend each session, because there are multiple things going on at any given time, except during the plenary sessions. That's when, it's everybody, and we have, our really big name speakers that are addressing the entire conference. But when there are concurrent sessions, there are multiple sessions going on at the same time, and it's up to the participants to pick what they want to go to. They may be deciding right then and there on the spot, or they may, they may have a side meeting that they need to attend. So we can't say exactly how many will attend every session.
But what we're doing, though, again, this year is we're using the Whova app, and before, at the beginning of the day, just to kind of help estimate the numbers, at the beginning of the day, we're going to ask, we found that it worked really well at the Future Forum. We asked people, what sessions do you plan to attend for, Sunday, and then, people put in their numbers, and so we were able to gauge and estimate, okay, well, 30 people said they're attending the industry panels. That helped us with the planning. So, but that's real time. So before that, I won't be able to get exact estimates. So that's why it's important to engage online. Another question, and we'll be wrapping up shortly. How do I get up here? Oh, there it is. Okay. Can you talk about the round robin format? Okay. So the round robin format is there's going to be 5 case studies, 5 to 6 case studies, and participants are going to, in 15-minute increments, they're going to be able to visit each of the presenters, case study, people who've engaged in a case study over the past year or so, and they're going to be making stops, and like I said, in 15-minute increments, and the session's for 90 minutes, so that's pretty much the round robin format.
I have a question. Can I ask? So I know Todd Green is still on the line. And Todd, going back to that question of what to wear and how to gauge your audience, I always think you just have such great style in menswear. And when you get up and talk, everybody really listens. Can you give a piece of advice? Oh, Todd's gone. Okay,
yeah, sorry,
I'm
Todd
sorry.
had to run to a meeting. He just wanted to say hi to everyone.
Okay.
And I'm not going to try to answer that.
All right. All right.
And then got a second for one more question. Another question is about, I wrote a book. How do I get it promoted at the conference? So I'm going to defer to my boss, Lynn, on that.
Yeah, we love to hear that you guys are writing books. Please write to us and tell us about your book, and then we'll present it to our president. I know he's always looking at these, and we do love to read the new books that come out and profile them. We sometimes will write a book review and put it in our ED Now newsletter. Sometimes they end up in our book. We're always looking for new books for our bookstore too.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a whole book signing, there are some procedures that we have to go through. So I need to run that by my boss, who is an expert in that. In terms of how many copies to bring, when we should do it, all that. There's a lot of logistics involved. So please write to us in advance, and we can consider each case individually. Thank you.
Right. And I had to address this question or this comment by David Fian. Half of this, because Lynn and I were talking about this morning, half of the speaker's job is education and half of the job is entertaining.
Yeah, you guys are entertaining up there on the stage.
And then lastly, how will we know who is on the panel with us? Okay, so if you don't know who you're on your panel with, again, one way is to go to the website and you can see who's on your panel with you. But if you joined late in terms of being a speaker, because we are still recruiting speakers, you will receive correspondence, and it'll include your entire team, the bios, headshots, and such. So that's another way. Or you can just email me and ask. You can email conferences at IEDC Online and ask, and we'll get you connected, because I know some of you all have signed on late. And with that, I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know you all are really busy. Thank you so much for engaging with us. And from our poll just now, it looks like everyone hates, okay, one person said PowerPoint is awesome. All righty.
I personally love PowerPoint, but I also like some of the new formats too. So.
And if you have any additional questions, please, we may have a part 2 of this. I thought it'd be easier to do a Prezi as opposed to a lot of back and forth emails and sending out 1,000 documents. So I thought this would be just a great way to get everyone together and answer questions and share information.
So thank you again for your time today, and for your interest in being a better speaker and trying some different things at the conference. And we really look forward to seeing you guys. We're very excited about going to Atlanta, and it's going to be a great conference.
Yay, thank you all. And thank you, Delaney, from our webinars, helping make this possible, and Ariana and Lynn. And Jeff says hello. He's in a meeting, but I wanted him to come in and say hi to everyone. So maybe on the next call. So on behalf of our president and our board chair, Craig Richards, we thank you and see you in Atlanta.